are now too big to expand on. So I'll try to keep as much information as I can to you, but read on everybody except from Julian going for the YOLO here, keeping true to his tendencies throughout this tournament here, staying with the YOLO. And now we need to stay focused onto the wave 7 here. We do have Julian, great YOLO roll here right from the start, but he did reroll already. So that's the main thing to keep in mind. This roll is final for Julian. He cannot find anything else, and one thing for sure, he does not have pierce damage. And so all those swift waves will be quite problematic for him. Luckily, GreenSpirit does have the bunk and the gun, which can cover him on those waves where he is weak. Also, very good unit on 7, the gun that is. So they have the proper preparation already for this wave 7. We do have the Gate Guard and the Pack Rat here for Aviator. Sorry about the lag, it happens on the first few waves for me. And Tjuvis going for the Crusher start, so they were playing towards the fact if they receive a Snell here on wave 1, then the Crusher will extend the wave and allow them to send big on wave 2. And that was the plan from Tjuvis. And Julian also was saving towards Tjuvis, but Tjuvis is continuing to save here, not going on wave 2 here, recognizing that the Pee-wee can happen, or a single tier 1 here is the only thing you need on wave 2 for the gun to hold those 2 Snells. Julian, however, going for the 2 Snells here. Tjuvis stayed on 4 workers, going for the Fire Archer. With this positioning, I think he will be able to push to 5 workers quite easily, maybe even 6 workers, but I think his goal will be to go for the Vice Room in the end here in this specific position. This is an opener that has been made famous by Vitterson, but he was starting the Vice Room and then the Fire Archer, and then on the wave 3 would come the Crusher. But now Tjuvis, knowing that he has a reputation to go for that Fiesta, accepting the fact that he might receive that Snell on wave 1, and so playing it a bit safer here with the Crusher start instead. So good adaptation from this opener by Tjuvis. And Julian here still playing with his Gate Guard, did add the split here, and has the Vice Room here to be safe on this wave. It should be fine for Julian, however I would have placed the Vice Room a little bit further back, just so the Vice Room only tanks the split. Now it will take a part of the main wave and a part of the split, so this could cause a little bit of trouble, maybe on wave 4. So we'll see how this one goes. Tjuvis is extending 4 Snells here towards GreenSpirit. That should be the lane of focus. Sorry about that. The game is not cooperating here. Okay, sorry about that. So the 4 Snells here, they were facing an Infiltrator and 2 Pee-wees, and this was enough for GreenSpirit to hold. The DT Snell here, enough for Julian to hold here, and he's pushing to 7 workers here despite not having any pierce damage. So he is in danger of leaking here. He does have a little bit of gold to add some more impact damage. He is very bad in terms of damage, but the tankiness of those bucklers might enable him to do decent, but he must hope that Aviator is not going full here. Only a Snell here should still go towards the leak from Julian here on this wave, but this should be an indication that he has no pierce damage here from Julian. However, we do see here the addition of the buckler here towards Tjuvis, playing it a bit safer here, but pushing to 7 workers still. Aviator recognizing his weak wave here, not treasure hunting on this wave, and able to hold this wave, and will be pushing. And talking about push, Tjuvis is pushing to 8 workers, having very great faith towards his build here. Knows he only needs a canopy on wave 6. Will there be a resend here from Julian to try and punish the push here? If he wants to punish the push, he would require to be a brute after income, but decides only for the Snells. So Tjuvis should be safe here and should be able to get the canopy on wave 6. We do have the Brutes, however, going on the side of Aviator here. He does have the Green Devil and 2 Gate Guards here. The value seems perfectly fine for him. So with those 2 Gate Guards, I do expect Aviator to be able to hold here. And with this Brute Send, I do expect him to go for the double treasure hunt here. Maybe going for Pack Rat here in the split. So maybe not pushing, but going for the Pack Rat instead and treasure hunting to have this boost in Mythium for wave 7. However, Aviator has been sending still Income King up here, recognizing that those players are very hard to break and going for maybe a later wave to send Power Mercs. And looking at the build, it might be a wave 8 send, and that might be further enabled by the fact that GreenSpirit went for the Orchid. However, the advantage of going Orchid here for GreenSpirit is that he is able to shift on wave 6, which is not normally a wave you can shift towards with a gun, because this is normally one of his weak wave. However, I do expect a shift for a bunk, and I don't like this PV because I think it prevents him from going for that bunk. So looking at this income, he has 44 income, gets 114, that's 158. He has 55 gold, and indeed it is not enough to get the bunk. And so Tjuvis is saving. He's not going to get the mimic. However, if GreenSpirit is not able to get the bunk on 7, he needs to prepare for wave 7 to protect, which means the Vulcan is not coming. And then the wave 8 send is that much more impressive from Tjuvis and Aviator. But Tjuvis going for income here on wave 7 instead. And same for Aviator here. Okay, so that's because Julian was saving towards Tjuvis here, going for the double brute. We do see the Disciple here from Tjuvis. We'll be able to clear quite a lot, but I do think it will be a leak from Tjuvis here. With the Canopy, might be taking too much aggro from those brutes. And a little bit reposition on the Disciple here. Probably having a Star Cutter here later on. Looking at Aviator, he does have the Disciple as well here, but he is only receiving income, so this means that he will be perfectly fine holding here. Does have the Green Devil to protect the Gate Guards, and also to give time for this Disciple to kill the Santa that was getting sniped here. That is the most crucial thing to do here on this wave. And then the Gate Guards and the Green Devil should be able to delay it long enough. Looking at the Brutes here, the Canopy is going down. It was surviving quite a long time, but the Disciple somehow gets sniped before the Canopy. So a little misposition here on the Disciple, causing a bigger leak that was intended. But GreenSpirit here leaking 86% to the income send still. So we do have the Harbinger from Julian holding on this wave, but we do also have the Gate Guards and Disciple holding from Aviator. However, those are brutes going to the king, and this is a cannoneer and a lizard going to the king. So the damage should be similar on both sides here. One brute getting sniped before getting to the king, so minimal king damage here on both sides. So the wave 7 that we were afraid of, everybody passed through it quite easily, but GreenSpirit leaking to the income send here, not getting that bunk, not being able to shift for that Vulcan, is also vulnerable on this wave for a reason. But it looks like he is preparing a little bit more for wave 9 here with the Antler reading that Tjuvis is not sending on this wave, unless there is a mole after income. Looks like there will not be a mole here after income from Tjuvis, just barely not getting it on time. But we do see here income king up. But important part here is that this is a fake full send, because we did see that Aviator had still 40 cent to send before income, before the wave start. Sorry, not before income, before the wave start. So this is a little bit of a mind game here, making Julian think that he has a less Mythium that he already has with the addition of the king up. But we do see here the boosted. He was a little bit afraid here because we do see that he had no pierce damage. So that was very important for Julian to not receive something on wave 8 here. But he still need to be mindful of wave 12. Need to be mindful of it, but not overcommit into it, because we do have the safety of the Vulcan cannon on 12 coming up from from GreenSpirit. But looking at the worker situation, it is GreenSpirit falling behind here due to the little problem that happened on wave 7 for him against the income send. So that makes it very hard for GreenSpirit right now to put pressure on Aviator. That has been income sending quite a lot towards Julian, but Julian has not been able to put those extra sends towards him into additional workers because of those weaknesses exposed in his role without pierce damage. So we'll see if he goes towards the LOD quite early. If he goes for it on wave 11, he does at least have some kind of good damage against Swift types wave. So that is something to keep in mind as well. Also important to note, Aviator did reroll here out of the pack rats, which means he doesn't have a tier 1 anymore. However, he has the gargoyle here in answer of a possible wave 15 send. So that is an important tool to have in the future here for Aviator. It also has, as a final build, probably the Starcutter Disciple with Boar. Very good combination that has been giving a lot of headaches here on the side of Julian. Still receiving a little bit of income sense here. Did already go for the LOD on wave 10 here, so he is in danger of leaking here because of that DT send. I mean, even to no send he was at risk of leaking, and that is going to be the case here. It looks like the Harbinger still tanking for the LOD, but a very minimal damage coming out from the LOD on wave 10, and it will be a leak here from Julian on wave 10 here. So a little bit of a tricky situation, but GreenSpirit is currently at 12 workers, but we do have the push from Julian here, and a nice... Ooh, the counter attack coming in here, but I do hope it is not wave 12 they are aiming for, because Glacial Touch is one of the spell that is very good on wave 12 here, and also any waves that are not elites are very good with Chill Touch. And so with the income sent from Aviator and Tjuvis, despite seeing the disciples, I do hope that Julian and GreenSpirit will go for the wave 13 send. I mean, Julian might not leak here because of the LOD and the fortified tanks that is currently available to him on his lane. So that will be interesting to see if he leaks here. But if there is no leaks from him here, sorry about that, then the counterattack should be aimed towards wave 13. However, there will be a leak here from Julian. It is not a big leak, but it is an extended wave, which is the most important thing here with counterattack. And the goal here to go for wave 12, a little bit surprising, but let's see. Glacial Touch has been nerfed a little bit, but the units that has been put on here for Aviator and Tjuvis is very good here with Glacial Touch. Now, does the read come? There is the golem coming in. Will there be the harden? That will be important to note. We do have the chieftain. We do have the flower as well here. That flower might cause some trouble here because it is very effective against the imps. However, very few frontline units here for this flower to deal additional damage here. So it might just not be enough here for Tjuvis to hold. But important to note here, they have faith in the Glacial Touch here. And also on the value of Aviator. Look at this value from Aviator, plus 30 value here with a hardened golem and Glacial Touch. I don't think we will see Aviator leaking here. Like, yes, maybe Tjuvis is leaking, but with the Glacial Touch, he has a chance to do pretty well still. The Death Cap did die pretty fast, and also the imps were exposed because of that magic damage, and so no imps going through. But we do have here Aviator going to hold here on this wave with the Starcutter Glacial Touch, and also the Harbinger as a frontline with the mana regeneration buff given by the Starcutter. So counterattack still coming in from Julian here. 21 workers still has a lot of pressure, but now your sense options are very limited here because you would possibly aim towards wave 14, but then again Glacial Touch is very good on that wave. You would prefer to go for something like a 15 sen. However, we do see the Aviator has the Gargoyle spam possibility. So very tricky spot for Julian and GreenSpirit right now as an option to send. But with the counter-attack, and I think we will see another leak here from Julian, which means that it should be a 14 cent if there is this supposed leak. However, we didn't remember that on wave 12 we did not see a cent here from Aviator and Tjuvis, which means that they have the Mythium lead on this wave and will be able to send quite a lot on 14, where GreenSpirit has shown a lot of weakness and he boosted on this wave here, which means that they expected a wave 13 send after the skip on 12, but with the send on 12, the hold also made by Aviator, that means that this 14 send was exposed here and could be the game winning move for Aviator and Tjuvis. The ogres are coming through for Aviator. Tjuvis should be following here. It does go for the Centaur and the pack. Centaur is a little bit questionable, but he does predict a lot of veterans, which is where the Centaur thrives in, is when there's a lot of cheap tanks. And so the prediction from Tjuvis is correct here. The veterans are coming through. So very nice send here from Tjuvis coming in on wave 14. The read is coming through here. The boosted veterans are coming through as well for Julian, but he has the lowest value here because he made the choice to go for the counter-attack. GreenSpirit also went counter-attack here, but was not able to make any lead happen, and that means that you do struggle quite a bit to make things happen. So big sense here. Only income kingouts on the other side here, trying to survive here. They know that they might have a chance towards a full push towards Aviator later on into the game. However, the leaks are beginning to be too big here. The Centaur tanking as well some of the veterans here, and that is a lot of king damage coming through. Yes, they have full king spell. What is a king spell? It is chain frost, so it can still be quite effective against the wave. The Centaur is doing minimal damage to the king, yes, but the wave is still quite powerful. There's a lot of units, and we might see the first game here going to the Fiesta team. Aviator and Tjuvis getting the first win in this matchup here, and that was a very interesting game in terms of decisions. However, it was a little bit dictated by the fact that Julian had no pierce damage in his role and very limited options in the YOLO role he had. So let me adjust the scoreboard here while we try and get into the next game here. So we do have a 1-0 coming in from Aviator and Tjuvis, and we are going on to match number 2. Alright, so if we look at the win probability, Aviator and Tjuvis were always ahead. Most of the time with 7 also, despite the leak from Tjuvis, because he was able to leak GreenSpirit with income send, which was pretty disastrous for the side of Julian and GreenSpirit, despite having that gun, which I believe got sniped here, because that was quite an odd leak for the gun player on wave 7, one of the strongest wave of wave 7, because it was quite stable all early game, but those power mercs coming in from GreenSpirit, also the pack rats giving extra mythium on equal workers for Aviator, really made it very hard for Julian and GreenSpirit to find that early advantage. Also added to the fact that some kingouts were introduced for Aviator and Tjuvis all game long. So what do we want to see as a change? We saw that in an even early game that Aviator and Tjuvis had some kind of advantage here. So mix up the pace. You need to try and mix up the pace here. Don't try and follow them into their game, into income sense. Try to find your own pace, and that should allow you to try and get something going for you. You need to try to get your early advantage. You try to stay even. Did not work. The yellow backfired, and so you just need to try and find your own pace if you're GreenSpirit and Julian. There is a possibility that the Fiesta comes in from Tjuvis because they have this 1 game buffer and can catch people off guard. But looking at how well first game went, I do expect Aviator and Tjuvis to stay with the greed. Stay safe. Don't go any wild cards. Stick with what worked. And it is really on GreenSpirit and Julian to try and make something happen. They need to change the pace. They need to change the pace. That will be the most important. The game 2 should start pretty soon. And it is on the way in the loading screen here. We will have Fiesta currently 1-0 against WWS8LPPD. Can they find a tied series going to game 3? That will be interesting to see. Alright, did I change the scene here? Yeah, okay, we got the correct scene. Alright, so we're going to game 2 here. 1-0 for Fiesta. Will we see a Fiesta? That is what we are going to see in a few moments. Sorry, it is really my computer that's having trouble. So we're going into it very soon. Sorry about that. And we do have the greed coming in from Aviator, the greed from GreenSpirit. Still yet to see from Tjuvis and Julian. Julian going for the yellow, trying to stick with it. But yet again, what do we see? No pierce damage on Julian here. 2 games in a row. That is a very, very disastrous for them. And talking about no pierce damage, we do have the Halo luckily for GreenSpirit. But the Avenger is what we see. And ooh, a little bit of a mix-up here. Tjuvis going for the cartel here. Normally seen on Aviator, Tjuvis is going to attempt it on his side. So changing stuff up here, trying to push a little bit more aggressively. So that is something we did not predict. Tjuvis is not known for his cartel. I mean, he's known for his YOLO, he's known for his greed, he's known for his Fiesta, but never have I seen him play the cartel. So we're gonna see how this one works out. He does have a very decent late game role here, but he also has a Claw Pixie, which is one unit that I've specified that he has been testing stuff with it. So it will be quite interesting to see how he played with it. Right now he wants to use it in the split here. However, it will not die on wave 1, but it will die on wave 2. So giving the Mythium starting from wave 2 will be quite powerful for him. Fire Elemental start from GreenSpirit quite safe. We also have Julian going for the gate card once again. Same as Aviator. But Aviator now receiving the Snell here, and also on Tjuvis, we didn't miss it. But those Snells is what we discussed here. That's why we discussed on Fiesta being very important on game 1. The game 2 is often where, okay, now if they change things up, do they go for the Fiesta? Let's try this now. We know they are known for their Fiesta. They know to greed, and Aviator was greeding here, so they caught Aviator here at least. But Tjuvis was not caught greeding here. And so he's still playing safe with the cartel here, going for the forward forker, and putting a little bit more pressure towards his Chloropixie, ensuring that it will die on this wave, giving it the 8 extra Mythium. That is quite important, because part of this value is towards the Mythium generation. We did have a recent here, but the Infiltrator here coming out from Aviator was totally fine, and the Vashroom here from Julian should be okay. Hell, but there was the Snell here also. That was probably an income. Just get the income, get a little bit of a safety, and scale up for Aviator. However, this allows GreenSpirit to go 6 worker quite easily. It is fire elemental in the end, and still very, very stable as an opener. First weak wave could arguably be wave 5. However, you just need some kind of fortified tank, and we do see here the Mud Meta as an option for GreenSpirit. So he's well set up. So this means that the real wave that he's really afraid of would be a little bit more towards the wave 6. And that is really tricky for him because his answer should be the Halo. However, if he goes for the Mudman, he will not be able to get that Halo. So we'll see what the decisions are for GreenSpirit. That will be quite crucial for how the game develops. We do see the red mask coming in from Tjuvis. He really loves those red masks early. Try and use those tantrums to get extra workers and shift at the right time. This is, however, a bit dangerous on wave 5. However, he does have a nice unit for wave 5, and that unit is called the Chloropixie, which is doing still a lot of magic damage. However, he would require a little bit of a front line. And looking at his role, I'm gonna name your front line Growl. Okay, and so we do also see the Chloropixies from Aviator. Julian receiving 100% here. The Dino going to the split is a little bit dangerous, but he has a flower here, so I did not see the flower here coming in from Julian. But that is because he rerolled and still no pierce damage. But flower is quite good on wave 12 here, and also on the future swift waves. Wave 8 is a little bit of a problem, but Aviator leaking here to the 80% here, not as lucky as Julian here with the flower. So this early lead here, we have a wave 1 leak from Aviator, wave 4 leak from Aviator. So the early lead is starting to build up here. And the cartel is seemingly less effective here. 6 workers on the cartel is very problematic for Tjuvis. He is required to overbuild here on this wave because the mask, and also he has no frontline as we've discussed. Yes, he has 3 Chloropixies, but this kills very, very badly, especially on wave 7. He does have the veterans, however, which can help you a little bit. However, you do have 300 value that is completely dead on wave 7. So I expect GreenSpirit to start saving from now. And potentially try and get a Mimic. However, it will be quite tricky to get the Mimic for GreenSpirit. So he is saving. He is probably not going to get the Mimic, sadly. Unless there's a leak somewhere. But another wave you can try and punish it is wave 9. So he could go for wave 9 directly because he does have the Aquas. And he's getting income sent a lot by Aviator. And right now the worker lead is currently in the side of GreenSpirit and Julian and not towards the cartel player, and that is quite problematic. However, with this extra Mythium generation, we could also justify that Tjuvis is a little bit ahead in terms of Mythium generation. He has been saving on Julian right now. He is sitting on 133 Mythium. But the Chloropixies are not dying every wave. It is only those of Aviator that are. And he is catching up on workers, which means that every Chloropixie that dies is very good for Aviator. So the net workers in favor of Julian and GreenSpirit. The early lead to the leaks were in favor of Julian towards Aviator. But this might change here because Tjuvis is deciding to send here, but not full here, respecting the power of the Harbinger. And the Canopy is coming through here. That is going to be a heavy push here from Julian, despite not having an answer for wave 8. He might play it still a bit safe and go for something like a Lore Kit, but with this sand of 160 sand, and with the relative power that is shown from GreenSpirit on wave 8, I would expect him to push quite heavily and accept the leak if there's a reason. And the gate on wave 7 from Tjuvis Still no frontline, by the way. But he is going for the Chloropixie tank strategy and just mass the Chloropixie in front of the gate and just let the Chloropixie die and tank for the gate while it summons unit. Quite interesting. Not sure how effective this will be, but it can be quite effective to give time for the gate and also give time for the mask. Masks are very time dependent. They attack multiple units randomly, which means that if you give enough time, it will be dealing quite a lot of damage on every unit. And we can see it here. Forgot to mention it. You can see the damage done, and you see that the Hellraiser, given enough time, even if not Tantrum, is the carry unit for Tjuvis. So Tjuvis did reroll, went out of the Chloropixies, says he has enough of Chloropixies, which I do tend to agree. Does have a late game roll in the Growl Gate, and also has a Swift tank, somewhat, with the Infiltrator. However, here the lack of arcane defense and fortified tanks does cause a big leak on Tjuvis and a leak on Aviator from the income send of Julian. So extending the worker lead here again for GreenSpirit and Julian, but not only the worker lead, the gold advantage. However, they are sending here, but there is a lot of lithium saved up on Aviator and Tjuvis, and we will check on the build what is the wave they are aiming for. So we do have the Aquas from GreenSpirit showing a lot of weakness on wave 10. However, now they will see the Halo, so that will be something to consider for Aviator and Tjuvis. And we do see the gate guard, the gate, and the flower coming out from Julian. No answers for 10. So I think the goal from Aviator and Tjuvis is wave 10. However, the Halo will be a little bit problematic. And I think the discussion was made to hide it, to bait him to not send something that is quite good against the Halo, which is a massive unit. So Mass Dino should probably be the send from Aviator, maybe packed with some spam. Should be the send from Aviator to delay that Halo damage towards the boss. So the pack comes in. Does he decide to spam the snails? It's gonna be the imp, probably paired with some snails to try and bring the Halo towards those imps, towards the pack leader to reset that damage, which is quite important. So he's going to have a lot of Mythium. That is currently 3 snails. And he's hardening here because Julian has no answers for wave 10, and they know that wave 10 is coming because there was a clear weakness coming out for Julian, and there is a shutdown on Julian. Very, very awkwardly placed shutdown here currently. And we do see the snails from Aviator trying to distract that Halo as long as possible. So is the boss the target? The boss is currently the target here for the Halo, so it will start to ramp up. Is it enough time? There's the half a mil already down, the Savar going down as well. Is the Aqua enough time? Looks like the answer is no. It will be a small leak, however, on the side of GreenSpirit, but a little bit of a bigger leak here from Juan, giving a shutdown as well. Aviator leaking to the income send, but Tjuvis holding with the Daphnis. So a little bit of a catch-up here, getting the gold from the shutdown. There is a possible play with all of this, with press the attack. However, I do think that Chill Touch will be the main unit, main spell for Aviator, because his weak waves are exactly 12, 14, and 16. We do also see the Chill Thrust onto a mask, would be my guess, to have the extended slow. Since everything he has is range, the extended slow on multiple units should add extra tankiness, but if he wants extra DPS, it should be towards the Daphne. So we'll see if he prioritizes the slow or the damage. We do see the Chill Touch working pretty well with the Halo, because it does cover some of the weakness of the Halo. And the Chill Touch here on Julian is a little bit questionable. I do not know on what unit he wants to put it. My guess would be onto his only range unit would be the Pilgrim, which I am not a fan of. So we'll see. But in a way, Aviator going for the press, the attack here against all what I expected. He's not going for a Glacial Touch, so he will be vulnerable on the specific ways I specified, which is 12, 14, and 16. And the saves are still going, which indicates to me that they are going for that wave 13, possibly in answers of the Chill Touch. Also because GreenSpirit is quite strong on 13, same as Julian, and this 13 sense should enable them to be doing quite well to cover themselves on 14. However, is Aviator and Tjuvis brave enough to skip 13 and go 14? Sorry, because 14 is a clear comeback window. But there is another one on wave 16, despite having a flower on Julian, because the flower from Julian is currently in front of his build without him protection. So Income King here to protect the 13 could be an option. But they are deciding to match here. They are going for 13 as well. Last second sense on everybody. Always hard as a caster to build up and just not see it until the last second. But the imps coming from Tjuvis, trying to overwhelm the gates, which is a very good decision. However, the Glacial Touch will do a lot of work towards those imps because the flower is exposing the these imps, and these imps are going to just make Glacial Touch good on wave 13. So I don't think the imps were the correct play here from Tjuvis, despite being a very good send normally against Gate. So here you see the Glacial Touch starting to go off, but none of the imps were affected, so no extra value, but we do see Julian doing very well and holding on wave 13. We also have GreenSpirit doing very well on wave 13 and holding possibly. We do have a small leak on Aviator and a small leak here on Tjuvis, and that's why the Income King Up might have been a better play here for Aviator and Tjuvis, just because of that second window opportunity and your capability to go for extra scaling with extra medium generated from your Cruel Pixie on equal workers. But now you give some gold back to GreenSpirit and Julian, and now you're stuck into this loop that you're kind of forced to match them. You do not have any more proactivity because your king is very low. But that aside, we do still have the Glacial Touch on Tjuvis with masks, so still a very good combination with 16. However, the two other teams are having the Glacial Touch as well on wave 16. So what I expect currently is Julian going for Mask Flowers, preparing for 16 over 15, while GreenSpirit is preparing 15 a little bit more to protect Julian, and he will be safe on 16 if Julian is covering with extra flowers. So right now the big problem from Julian is that there's only one flower that is in front, exposing a weakness there. But oh, I did not see that one coming, and that is a 15 cent coming in here, trying to go aside of what is expected. But Julian is pushing quite heavily here. Julian 28 workers, so GreenSpirit will be the holder on 15 as I predicted. But Julian's gonna be someone who leaks here. Like that 28 worker push, they want to be leaking Aviator and Tjuvis here on wave 18, and he just wants to have an answer against those chieftains and those orchids, and that's going to be DT spam and orchids as well on towards Tjuvis with some of the sands as well. But it is paired with a witch, very good against the Chloropixies, but will it be enough? That is the question. The sands are quite big on the other side as well, mainly motivated by those Chloropixies. So it is really all about Aviator and Tjuvis trying to hold here. If they don't hold, it is probably game over because of the 25% king HP with no king upgrades. There is still 2 chieftains remaining. There's the boss. There's no frontline remaining now, but it will not be enough because he won't be able to cover the leak from Tjuvis. We do have the leak from Julian and also the leak from GreenSpirit, but the king HP difference will carry them. And we do have a tight series here. WWS8LPPD is going to tie the series 1-1, and we're going to game 3 here. And that is quite a comeback here, but not to find their own pace, and that's exactly what they have done on this game, is to really find their own pace, exploit the weak waves a little bit more from Tjuvis and Aviator. Aviator leaking those wave 1 and then wave 4 with the gate guard, enabled a early lead that got snowballed afterwards with a common weak wave. Not a common weak wave, but some other weak waves in the future. So we are going to game 3 here onto this matchup. So as tight as I predicted, game 1 was very controlled from Aviator and Tjuvis. Nice adaptation from Julian and GreenSpirit to force some leaks here and there from Aviator and Tjuvis to get that early lead. And that cartel from Tjuvis was really not convincing, just because he was not able to press any advantage with it. He had a Chloropixie, but it is very hard to make Chloropixie work on high workers because of most of his value is towards the Mythium generation. Also the fact there was no frontline in his build, which is always a bit problematic because you have a lot of damage but no time to dish it out. And with gates, with Chloropixies, and with mask, not having time is detrimental to your build. And so even though the cartel was not convincing, I think it's more towards the role of Tjuvis that was a bit problematic, more than the execution of the cartel. So game 3, the YOLO from the YOLO from Julian working out this time, but did not have pierce damage 2 games in a row. Will he still stick with it, or will he decide to mix it up here? So they decide for Aviator to send to Julian here, and so that will be quite interesting. That's the same sending order as the game that just happened, I think. Is that it? No. It's the same as game 1. So same sending order as game 1. They felt comfortable for Aviator to send to Julian. Will there be a long save for a Mimic on 7? That is what I want to see. That's what everybody wants to see. Will Aviator and Tjuvis show it to us? So we are back on the main screen, loading screen for everybody. Sorry, my computer is a little bit slower than the player's computer. But that's why I'm a caster. No. Alright, so game number 3 here. 1-1. Last game. Who will go towards the final? We do have greed on everybody, except from Julian staying true to his YOLO. A little bit disappointing here that we don't see a mix-up from Tjuvis and Aviator with a Fiesta to get this early leak in extended ways for bigger send. But let's see. Greed is stable. They needed a stable game on wave 1. On game 1, stable game went into their favor. Resurging stability here should still be towards their favor, according to their logic. So we do have Aviator going for the Sea Dragon Cat. A little bit problematic if you receive a Snell, even on wave 2. So you need to be careful with that. You need at least one stack on wave 2 with a cat. If you don't, you're gonna leak. So let's see how deep the knowledge of the Sea Dragon cat is with Aviator. He's going to go for a treasure hunt here, it looks like. Also, I wouldn't go for that loot. But let's see. Tjuvis going for the flower angler. Going for the Oathbreaker angler, I mean. Not sure about this start. It's a little bit riskier. You kind of need something very good on wave 2 and 3. And that should be the infiltrator. However, the flower is just that much more stable. Like you go 5 workers, you get your bounty on turn 4. It's way more. It's more stable to have the flower angler than to have this Oathbreaker angler. You might have the possibility to leak and extend some waves, but really not the build that people would expect here, looking at the roll from Tjuvis. So might cause some trouble in the future for him. And he stayed 4 workers despite receiving on 1, and that is the big problem with this current build, is that with the Oathbreaker, he requires himself to be lower workers than the average people normally would after receiving a sand. And that should be a 6th worker here for Julian with the Green Devil. Especially when he has Harpies as an answer for 4. So that's very good for him. GreenSpirit on 5 workers now after receiving the Snells. Play it safe with the Aqua in case of a 40 sand on 2, which is always possible when playing against Tjuvis. So good safe play from GreenSpirit, aiming for stability, recognizing that Tjuvis built quite a lot on this wave. Still pushed to the 5th worker a bit delayed. And no sense towards Tjuvis on this wave, but there will be one on wave 4. So I really like this from Julian, not over forcing the sense with his work advantage, but still recognizing the possible weak wave. And what I want to see is a Brute. Oh no, it's a Fiend after income here. It's a Fiend after income from Julian. I mean, it's a nice stand against the Oathbreaker and the Vashroom. No pierce damage to kill it, except from those anglers, which are not really what you're aiming for. And now, I do believe that it will be targeted by the Vashroom. It is currently targeted by the Vashroom, and this will be a small leak from Tjuvis. And he is vulnerable to a Brute Resend. However, does Julian get it here? He only has 6 workers, he has 30 Mythium right now. He would require himself to be at least at 44. And looks like it will not happen. It will not happen, no Brute Resend. But there will be Snells. Will there be a full sand or no? He has 200, so that's the Sky Queen out of nowhere. So people will not expect that, but the Sky Queen will enable him to hold here on wave 4. So a nice shift here on wave 3 for Julian. And this will probably enable him to push quite a lot, possibly to 8 workers. He has an answer for wave 6 here in the Berserker or Devil Fishes. So heavy push is possible here for Julian. 8 or 9 workers, depending on if he wants to go for the risky route with Devilfish or the safe route with Berserker. Can also go for Sand Badger instead of the Berserker on wave 6. So if he wants to go for the 190 or 195 unit, he will require only to stay at 8 workers. But looks like the decision is to stay at 7 workers instead, and I don't really like this decision. Maybe a little bit too safe to my liking here for the current build of Julian. So he is at 7 workers. He will be able to get that 195, so possibly a Badger here will come through on wave 6 for Julian. Skipping a wave here, not sending income whatsoever. On towards Tjuvis and Aviator. Looking at what they have, wave 7, quite tempting. There's a hardened possibility, however Brutes are still doing pretty well against those. So from GreenSpirit, Brutes onto Aviator should be pretty good. And on to Tjuvis as well. So we'll see what the decisions are from WWS8LPPD, but we will possibly see that happening on wave 7. So here we see 222 gold remaining here for Julian to spend. Decides for the Berserker, a little bit surprising. However, he does have a lot of arcane defense already, so maybe does not want to overinvest into it. But that shows a lot of strength on wave 10 and does expose himself a little bit to the press the attack on wave 11. Luckily for him, he has a sacrifice possibility, which could allow him to swap a Fatalizer to something like a Hellgate. So everybody skips wave 6 here. The Canopy is coming through from Tjuvis, still exposed to some brutes here on wave 7. Same goes for Aviator, especially with the Harden here on wave 6. That is disastrous here for Aviator, and does invite the Sand here coming through on wave 7. The brutes are coming through from GreenSpirit. Aviator and Tjuvis going for income, and brutes also from Julian. Aviator's value, he is going to be overvalued. However, the brutes are the problem here. It is not the value. The brutes are just very good against everything he has on the board. So the decision onto what he builds will be very important, and decides to go for a Mudman. He going for the full cat as well. So he does hope that with the healing of the Sea Dragon, with the cat damage, he will have enough time to kill the whole wave and then focus down the brutes. So that's the hope of Aviator. Will it happen? There's one brute on the side of the Neko. The other brute is stuck in the split with the Hardened Mudman. So the cat will be able to clear his side. The other cat is delaying. And looks like Aviator is doing pretty well. They're sniping one brute. There's only one brute remaining. Still enough against the cat. But is the healing still enough here? The Canopy is doing pretty well also on the side of Tjuvis here. So Tjuvis is way stronger than I predicted here against the brutes here. The Canopy perfectly spec tanking. And also the Nekomata with the healing of the Sea Dragon will be able to hold here despite the Hardened Mudman. Very nice hold for Fiesta team. And now resisting the power mercenaries from the WWS8LPPD does enable them to be slightly in the lead in terms of value. However, in terms of worker, we do still have a lead from Julian and GreenSpirit. But now the Kingpin power spike will come in from Tjuvis, and that is a big problem because that forces you somewhat into a wave 11 sand or a wave 13 sand. So you're kind of exposed on wave 12 here. He has the Sky Queen on the side of Julian. We discussed about the sacrifice for the Fatalizer possibility towards the Hellgate. However, the front line is still not there. This income sand is very, very helpful here for Julian and GreenSpirit. And I do hope that they will utilize that to try and aim for a common weak wave. Right now, if you look at the boards, Kingpins are weak on 13. And the Canopys, while good damage, are not good tank on 13. On the side of Aviator, we do have Disciple possibility, but Mudmans are his frontline as well as Nekomatas. So they will be able to scale with income here. But now, spot the Hardens. You need to spot the Hardens, and if there's a wave, he hardens both. Then you can aim towards a sand on the following wave, or you go for 13. I do think that in this specific situation, it's a very nice thing for Julian and GreenSpirit to go for the longer save, because you have that Kingpin power spike. And after 13, you just go for either 15 or 16, which is very good. But they decide to go for income here, which is quite surprising because they know the Kingpin is coming here. Maybe he does hope that it gets stuck onto those snails, which causes a leak most of the time. But here, the send towards Aviator, like the DTs, is purely income king up here, giving the power spike to the Kingpin. Will make him push, that's for sure. However, you do expose your wave 12. You do have green that's quite good on wave 12. However, we don't have Julian being strong on wave 12. Yes, there's the Harpy, but the front line is just not there to give time to the Harpy to do their damage. So we do have the income king, and the Kingpin is going to hold here on the side of Tjuvis. And Aviator is going to hold as well the income sun. And now they are going to be able to get past here the workers of Julian and GreenSpirit because their value are that much more impressive. So a little bit, they stumbled a little bit into their in their rhythm, and now it gives the opportunity to Aviator and Tjuvis to decide where to send next. We do have the sacrifice here, so that might be the sacrifice for the Berserker we discussed about for the Wave 12 Hellgate. That should be is gold. Maybe it is a sacrifice on one of the two Sky Queens. However, I do think he will keep them because it is his main source of damage. We do have the sacrifice as well on GreenSpirit because he was going to sacrifice a boar on wave 13 for possibly a fertilizer or a iron scale. So that's another possibility to see. A sacrifice also on Tjuvis and Aviator, possibly for one of the Munments or the Nekomata for Aviator to get a star card or circle. And I wouldn't be surprised if the sacrifice of Tjuvis would be for one of these Kingpins. Like sacrificing the Kingpin to go for Hades on wave 13 would be a nice adaptation as well. So a lot of sacrifice plays possibilities on all four lanes here. Everybody keeping it for the right time. And let's see what they decide to do. So fertilizer, everybody reading the 13 cent it looks like. And a lot of Berserkers coming in for GreenSpirit, so not investing more towards that wave 12. So that really pushes me to think that this will be a sacrificed boar here on the side of GreenSpirit. However, there is one other possibility that happens, is that one of the teams sends on 13 and uses a sacrifice while the other team saves for the 14 sand. That is another possibility that can hurt GreenSpirit and Julian if they are the one to do the mistake. So will there be a send on 13? There is a send from GreenSpirit, there is a send from Julian, and those are income sends. And no sends from Aviator and Tjuvis. Will we see a sacrifice on the side of Julian? Looks like the answer is no. No sacrifice yet. And no sacrifice on GreenSpirit either being used. They are confident with their value that they will be able to hold here, and they use the sacrifice on the 14 Sen instead, which is a very, very nice play. However, this will be a sacrifice, possibly sacrifice gate to go for iron skills and badges. That would be my guess. Yes, you lose out on the gate, but your damage on 14 are the Sky Queens. So this bonus income, will it be utilized? That would be the thing to see. We did see a sacrifice here used on Tjuvis on one of the Kingpin. I did not see if Aviator utilized is. It might have been on one of the pack rats. But the income send is going to be enough to leak Aviator. And also, almost leaking Tjuvis, and it will not be a leak on Aviator, but it was damn close. So the real send is coming here on this wave. We don't see income king up here from Julian and GreenSpirit. They are confident that with their sacrifice, that I really do hope it will be on the gate, will be sufficient to hold. We are waiting for the sacrifice here. We didn't, so Aviator did not sacrifice here. We do have the sacrifice on the Fatalizer, so keeping the gate here. Um, Having more faith towards the gate here on this wave for damage. I mean, the Helion is impact damage, so it can be quite good, but the Fatalizer is so good against a possible frontline unit, like a Siege Ram, which is very good against your Sky Queens. We did have a sacrifice as well on the side of GreenSpirit for his Fatalizer going to the Badger route instead. However, he did not have any damage back anything up, so he only has a tank build, and that's going to be leaks for both GreenSpirit and Julian, and those leaks are massive. The king ups are maybe not sufficient. They did save some lithium, but they are so far behind in workers now because of their income stands on 13. So they will survive here, but at what cost here? Now, we do have Aviator at 18 workers, we do have Tjuvis at 22 workers. They have a lot of gold to spend, but there is not a lot of lithium towards them from GreenSpirit and Julian. And now they are susceptible to a possible 16 sand, because now everybody recognized that the sacrifice was used on both Julian and GreenSpirit. We still have here the sacrifice from Aviator, and once 15 is passed, sacrifice one of the cat, go for bonus arc tears, delay longer, and just win the game on 16. That is controlled gameplay here from Aviator, utilizing the sacrifice exactly when he needs it to, and that will possibly secure them to win. We do have auras coming in for Tjuvis, because he recognized the only damage that GreenSpirit has are the Aquas and the Boar Splash, and possibly a Ram. No, okay, doesn't get the Ram because he was a little bit short. It was close, I think. But auras are overall very good on wave 16 because of the sheer amount of units that is there. And now with 2 Iron Scales, with the gates, with the Sky Queens, does it have enough time for those Sky Queens to clear everything? I believe the answer is no for Julian. The value is still not there here. Minus 600 on GreenSpirit as well. Tjuvis is going to go for Mass Sparrows here. Should be holding decently. And we do have Sacrifice on one of the Nekomatas here to go for the Lifebinder and extra Yazora for the delay. Income King up here from WWS8LPPD, trying to make a miracle here on this wave with 600 on their value, having faith that the Fatalizers and the Aquas are going to do something, but the something is not enough here, and we will have Fiesta going on to the finals against the winner of the second semifinal, so it is a 2-1 as predicted for Fiesta here. Very nice display, controlled game for Aviator and Tjuvis on game 1 and 3. Game 2 was dictated by WWS8LPPD, but here they started with the pace, let it go on wave 10 due to the Kingpin power spike, and fell off to the sacrifice mind game here from Tjuvis and Aviator, not going for wave 13 but going for 14 instead, recognizing that the team might be weaker there. So very nice showing by Fiesta, very nice showing by WWS8LPPD as well, and they must not be ashamed of their play. It is all a question of rhythm between those two teams. That is what we discussed. The rhythm was very important, and the rhythm was in the favor of Aviator and Tjuvis because of that Kingpin power spike in the mid game, switching gears and just making it so it's a little bit harder to know the exact wave you want to send on. So nice series that we just witnessed, all about rhythm, pace of the game, and those two teams executed perfectly towards their strength and keeping that rhythm as much as they could. So on that, I'm gonna say thank you for watching. I'm gonna send you guys to the main stream as this is finishing. And so on that, have a nice one. Nice final of us, and pick your team. I don't know what team won the other semifinal. I think it's still on the way. So maybe you'll get the end of the final one. So have a nice one and see you next time.